Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics show, or should I say, instead of a round review show, it's the round 2 therapy show because we're all in the shit. It's been a very, very chaotic start to the season, and we're going to help you through it. We're going to talk about a few relevant players and discuss how we're going to sort of make our way through all of this mess. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And joining me are two of my co-hosts and fellow AFL Fantasy Fanatics, Guesty and Jordox. I'll start with Guesty. Guesty, mate, how are you? I know you're struggling a bit, but how are you?
That's the important thing to remember, Bales. Like, we're fanatics. We're fanatical about AFL Fantasy. We never said we actually fucking ever knew anything. And finally, it's we're being exposed. We're being exposed. So I managed to do something I never thought was even possible. I'm after round one, I think I was about 27,000, something along those lines, which, okay, that's okay. It's a round one score, right? No dramas. But then to drop another 7,000 places to now be 34,000, just outside 34,000, I'm actually impressed. I didn't realize I could be that bad at fantasy football.
Oh, mate. Been a tough start. It's been a very, very tough start.
It's going to be a long season. That's the thing I'm thinking of now. It's going to be a long season.
Oh, strap yourselves in. We're on for a bumpy ride. Joining us, our other co-host, Jordox. Jordox, mate, are you any better or are you feeling like me and Tim?
You know what I've realised, boys? I was thinking about this over the weekend. I don't actually need a Hilux. I've got a nice Holden Captiva, 7-seater, gets me from A to B. The other thing I realised too, I've got heaps of hats. I've got Adelaide hats, Arsenal hats, even got a nice coaches panel hat. I don't need a fantasy
I don't actually wear hats that much. I never wear a hat.
Nah, look, in all seriousness, guys, I think there's a lot of people feeling what you're feeling, Timmy, and I'm feeling it too. I've had a shocking start, probably one of the worst starts I can remember. But you know what? Let's just look at it as a challenge. I've never started like this. Let's see how far I can climb up now from, I don't want to say rock bottom, because who knows what round 3 is going to bring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Yes. But for those, I didn't actually say, for those listening on the pod as well, it is Sunday, the 23rd of March. And can you believe we're only in round 2?
What are you doing? If you're listening to the pod, what the hell are you doing? Why are you even wasting your time?
It's good entertainment.
We still want listeners, Tim. We still want listeners, Tim. But yeah, if you are joining us, then leave a question or play like discuss below, and we'll get to a couple of those at the very end as well. And make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But boys, let's go through our scores and rank, unfortunately. Jordox, I'll go to you for this one first. What did you score in round 2 and what's your current rank?
Well, it says live, so I'm guessing that's just what it is. But 1772 I scored, and rank is 25406.
Yeah. No, it's a struggle, and we're all in the 20K club as well. So,
yeah.
Guesty, mate, what was your score, and what's your round rank and overall rank?
Hang on. So, the score is 1729. Overall rank is 34,114. And then what'd you say? Round rank. Rankings. Hang on a second. Let's look. 45,000.
I don't even know how to find the round rank. Where do I go to find that?
Go to your rankings page and then click on the drop down and rather than doing overall, do round 2.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
31,966. Oh, I'm glad I looked that up.
Yeah.
How'd you go, Bales?
So top score on the pod at least, but not that much better. So 1789. That gave me a round rank of 26,448. And somehow I moved up in rank. I went up about 800 about 800 odd spots, 780 odd spots or whatever. So up from about 22,800 and something to 22,285. So I'll take the positive from a bad round and that I actually moved in the right direction, but definitely not where I want to be living at the moment. Let's go a little bit more positive. We'll go around the room. We'll go through our plus threes, and then we'll go around again for our negative three. So, Jordox, give me your plus three from the weekend. Give a bit of positivity after, obviously, you struggle to start the pod.
Positivity. Can I just give it to the Adelaide Crows? Can I do it that way? Actually, let's go with the captain, Jordan Dawson. He's my shining light, and managed to nail my vice captain loophole this week. So that's a positive.
Yeah, no, I love it. Good, very, very good start for Jordan Dawson, with averaging 130 over the first 2 weeks, which is very nice. Guesty, who's your plus three?
I'm going to give it to. I mean, look, I had Jordan Dawson. Clayton Oliver. There's kind of common SDK that scored well, Jack McRae's, but I think I'm going to give it to Adam Cherry. He's probably a bit more unique for me, and basically averaging just under a ton there for his first 2 weeks. So he has been the one good pick I made. Yeah. No, he's been pretty solid to start the season. Special mention for my plus three, obviously Connor Rozee. A bit unlucky not to get one of ours here with a 145. Very, very good score for him and did it all against the Tigers. But I've got to give mine to the highest scorer of the round, Jack McRae, with a 153. Filled the stat lines, 35 touches, 8 marks, 10 tackles. He's back. We've got Jack McRae back. He looked as good as I've seen him for a good number of years. And JD, shout out to, obviously, JD. A lot of us know from formerly of FTTV, was saying about how Bevo isn't getting scrutinised enough, probably for getting rid of Josh Dunkley, Bailey Smith, and Jack McRae, who are all succeeding at their new clubs. And Jack McRae just the latest in this. And I know that the Volcano, Kane Corns, was saying that Jack McRae shouldn't be in the team, but he got 12 clearances in a losing side, and he was one of the best players on the ground for St Kilda, and definitely helped them get over the line over Geelong. So Jack McRae gets mine. He's making a bucket load of cash and probably the number one forward in the early rankings. Jordox, you're minus three.
Minus three. Look, I got to give it to Tim Taranto. I thought I was quite clever starting him because everyone had jumped off after a poor pre-season game. Look, it's harsh because I know Port smashed them and it was a real coming back down to earth for the Tigers. But I'm sorry, Taranto, that's just – I don't think he'd had a kick at halftime, not even a kick. Very disturbing, but he'll be out of my side very soon.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be doing a bit better than how we started the season. Guesty, you're minus three.
Oh,
and one player.
Jesus, well, I mean, it's a toss-up between a Hugo Garcia and an Ollie Hollands. I might give it to an Ollie Hollands because the interesting thing about Ollie Hollands' score in my team is that his 48 actually counted as one of my best 18. That's how poor my team was. Tommy Stewart with a 9, Hugo Garcia with a 27, someone had Finn O'Sullivan had a 33. So wow, rough round.
He took some kickouts though, O'Sullivan. So could have been worse.
Yeah.
My negative three is going to go to my 18th scorer, and I cannot believe that he counted for me this week. Harry Perryman, and I'm also going to give this negative three also to Craig McRae and the Collingwood coaching staff for not only paying Harry Perryman the amount of money that he got, playing him in the preseason in full-time mid, saying he's going to be an important piece in our midfield. And he plays all midfield in the preseason, opening round midfield as well. Then start of the season, he's obviously plays a bit more defensive, and then we'll put him at half-back and stick him there. And then against Bulldogs on Friday night, full-time defense. You've got your Dacosses and Dawsons and guys like that are just thirsty for the ball and want the ball. I felt like Perryman almost was in space and said, "Don't pass to me, pass to someone else," because he did not want the football whatsoever. He's got to go. I don't know if I'll be able to trade him this week because I've got a unfortunate Tom Stewart at D1 that I now have to deal with. So thanks, Tom Stewart, for once again getting injured in the first quarter on a single-digit score once again. I knew this would have happened, but it is what it is. We'll quickly turn our attention to the Content Creators Cup as well, Tim. So if anyone hasn't signed up yet, can they still get amongst it? And if you want to go through a couple of key results made from the Content Creators Cup as well.
Thanks, mate, for just dropping me in it without even letting me know you were going to do that.
The Content Creators Cup's your baby, mate. It's your
sure, but it would have been nice to have a heads up. Look, let's look. I think Louis and DC had an 1881. They weren't playing each other, but look, just to give you an idea about where they were scoring in there, I think they finished up overall. I think where's DC sitting overall? So both DC and DT Lemon are sitting at about 3,500 after these first couple of rounds. So I thought that's pretty interesting. I'm not going to go through individual matchups or anything along those lines, but obviously one of the reasons why we have the Content Creators Cup is so it's easy for people to kind of keep an eye on all the content creators and how they're going and the people they're listening to. So they're probably the people they're most interested in. That Master Your Money program is definitely still available. Obviously, the competition is over, and I got pumped by our competition winner John this week. Well, not pumped; he beat me by 9 points, but yeah, it was pretty rough to go down to him as well.
Tim, there's
yeah,
only one thing we need to talk about from this week. It was Bales versus Jordox.
Oh,
and
really?
I have to say it was probably one of the worst weekends I've had. And Bales only beat me by 17 points. So Bales
with a Tom Stewart 9. Oh, mate. I definitely was getting quite.
No, it was Rosie. Rosie got me in the end. Everything else was pretty tight. Apart from that, so
not Rosie.
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
I think
hopefully we meet again, Bales.
Yeah, Jordan's right there. I reckon you said Rosie about 8 times. So he was that big against you that you had to say 8 times. But it's it's quite funny. But yeah, no, Tim, I don't know if the rankings actually update on your page because I got DC sitting at 12-17 overall, so he's going very well. Louis is not far behind, 17-67, and then you got Nathan 48-47, and the only other coach inside the top 10K is DT Lemon at 8-4-6-6. Everyone else, unfortunately, is outside 10,000. And I think like the next person is about like 14,000. Yeah. Jeppa, who's just outside 10K. But yeah, it's a struggle town for a lot of us, unfortunately, to start the season. So, but yes, without further ado, let's
review this shit round already.
Yeah, let's get through to the game. So we'll start off on Thursday night with Carlton versus Hawthorn, and Hawthorn getting the job done there. And unfortunately, Carlton, not a great start for them. Firstly, I think we've got to talk about, obviously, Tim, you mentioned Ollie Hollands with the 48. That's now back-to-back bad scores. And I traded him out this week thinking because of the weather. And it wasn't actually the weather that really had him have a bad score. It was the fact that the teammates continue to not want to use him. And so is he a priority guy that you're trying to look at? Or obviously there's a lot of bullets going around, but
I really don't think the role is like we thought it was going to be, and then certainly what we're seeing is he's certainly struggling to play that role. I think also Carlton are having a few issues trying to get it out of their defensive side. They seem to be kind of blazing away a fair bit, which isn't helping. But look, I mean, the thing is, he may not have lost too much cash, maybe 5, 10, 15K, but that break even is going to be jumping up now, and chances are it's going to start dropping. So yeah, it's time to get off him, but it's going to be a matter of how do you rank the people that you got to get off. I mean, we've got a Stewart, people have got a Bailey Smith. We don't know how that's going to play out. Ollie Hollands, Hugo Garcia, these kind of players have got to go.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And one other player that people might want to get off Jordox this week is Will Day. So 75, that 75 could have easily been a 90, gave away 5 free kicks, got caught holding the ball before he got a shot away, a couple of high tackles. Yeah, it could have realistically been a ton. Probably didn't play well enough to get a ton. But what are your thoughts with Will Day? Have we just got bigger issues, Jordox, than a Will Day at the moment? Is it just a case of we just got to probably hold him through this tough matchup? But if you're in a luxury position, you could still trade.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, he looked okay. I was surprised at his score at the end of the game. I guess the 5 frees against don't help, as you said. Yeah, I think you've nailed it. Like, I'd be surprised if you were in a position to drop Will Day this week with everything else that's going on. And if you are, then yeah, you could do it. But yeah, I think there's going to be other fish to fry.
I actually think he was pretty close to being best on ground. And, you know, we kind of knew with Will Day we didn't want to go there because he had such a kind of bad run to start the year. But I'm kind of, look, you know, particularly if you've got bigger issues, I don't think it'd be such a bad thing to hang on to him. You know, you brought him in knowing there's potentially going to be a bye. You know, his run starts to open up, I think, after about round 5. So, you know, I don't think it's such a bad thing if you have to hold him. But so yeah, don't get too panicked if you know, if you do have him.
Yeah, exactly. Couple of notable scores here as well. Dylan Moore, 45. So he's going to drop a fair bit in cash. He's got his buy in round 4, but again, with that good run opening up for Hawthorn, could be a good play in about round 6 as a forward target there. And Lucas Camporelli, this sub rule shit, right? This sub rule shouldn't be here. The players don't want it. The coaches don't want it. The clubs don't want it. The fans don't want it. Fantasy coaches don't want it. The only people that want it is the AFL, and it is killing our cash gen for these rookies. And Campo, who knows if he's there, because Carlton are obviously 0-2. Does he get dropped? Who knows? That might be another red dot we have to deal with, but hopefully he's not. Hopefully he's done enough to be there. We've got a super chat before we move on to the next game just quickly. So thank you to Tim Ashworth for putting this through here. So he says, who do I trade out, Day, Perryman, or Taylor? So Jordox is probably not Day. It's probably Perryman or Taylor. Taylor's playing this week. Perryman's not and looking bad. Is it Perryman over Taylor?
You'd think so. I'm not that familiar with Taylor's story at the minute. What did he do this week? He didn't play this week. Good one. No, Perryman. Get Perryman out. Just get him out. At least with Taylor, you got an idea of what he's going to do week to week. Perryman, who bloody knows?
He's going to drop a ton of cash if he has another low score. Well, actually, hang on. Sorry, he's got a buy, right? Perryman's got a buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once again, it's not the worst thing in the world to hold on. I mean, Taylor's got to break even at 36, right? So chances are he probably is going to meet that. But, I mean, is that score even going to count for you? Look, you might be able to do more with the cash for Perryman, but once again, you know, you can kind of hold him if you have to.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can try both, Tim, go Taylor down, then Perryman up. That'd be a good move if you've got no other issues. So, yeah, beautiful. Thanks for seeing through the super chat there, Tim. We'll move over to the Friday night game, the Bulldogs' 100th year anniversary with Bulldogs and Collingwood, and the umpires getting the job done for them against the Dogs. Harry Perriman's a big issue, Tim. 43, as you said, he's going to drop a heap in cash. He's on buy, so I guess for people that have maybe got a Stewart or have got another forced trade, there is a world where you could hold him for a week and train the week after. But in most cases, is it just as simple as see you later and you're just trying to find someone else?
So what do you think is going to happen now, Bars? You think he's going to be stuck playing in the back line?
Yeah, I think so. They've like Ned Long is getting more CBAs, Pendles, Sidebottom. DeGoey didn't have that many CBAs, but he'll get more. Nick Dacos obviously is the main guy in there as well. I just can't see it anymore. I thought there was a role. I thought he was going to be like the number 2 or 3 guy in there along with Dacos, but that role has just completely just disappeared. It's just half back.
Yeah, you got to jump. I mean, you've definitely got to have him out before he plays next. I mean, whether that's this week or next week, because he's just. I mean, if he puts up another score like that, he's just going to plummet in price.
Yeah.
So you want to go up before that happens.
His break even will be around about 100, 104. So that's not great. And if he gets another 40, he's going down to 50.
So, yeah, it is 104.
Yeah. So
looks like our lockout's already lifted.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. The other players here, Bailey Dale, Jordox, 96. A couple of decent scores to start the year, a ton and a 96. Is he someone that you could consider for Harry Perryman if you can't get up to those $1 million players?
Yeah, he's always worth considering, Dale. My only concern is his ceiling. He just sort of, I mean, I watched that game and thought, I was surprised he did a ton because I felt like I saw him so much, but he only took 2 marks. In fact, he's only taken 5 marks across the 2 games. So Not a lot of marking from him. You could consider it, but I wouldn't be rushing to him.
Yeah, agreed. Couple of notable scores here. Nick Dacos, 136. Probably not going to get as cheap as what we were hoping he would be, but he does have the bye this week. Then he goes into, I believe it's Carlton, then Sydney. So maybe George Hill will go to him, and then James Jordan will go to him. So 2 tags coming up. But then from round 6 or 7 onwards, that's, I think, when we're going to be looking to pounce on Nick Dacos. And then both Tim English and Darcy Cameron tunned up. So with the Big X going sub-ton this week, with those 2 tunning up, you'd be pretty happy if you had them instead of the Big X this week. Moving over to the Saturday games, the first one, Essendon and Adelaide, with Adelaide getting a very comprehensive win here. And Jordox, James Peatling, 41, disappointing. Obviously, a few people, I know that Mitch from Ball Boys, I don't know if he still has him, but I know a few people out there along with him started with him. If you've still got him, is he a guy that you're looking to trade out? Yeah,
absolutely. The role just isn't quite, I think, what we were thinking in pre-season. And even when it is, he's still getting used to a new system, a new team. And there's a lot of players at Adelaide that are playing really well, and he's just not quite at that level yet, but he'll get there. But in terms of fantasy, I think you jump out. I do think forward status is a slight chance, but at this stage, for what you paid for him, I think you got to abandon ship there.
Yeah, and then Isaac Rankin as well, Jordan. So I'll go to you for this one again because I know you were at the game. Isaac Rankin was looking great. He's on 70, probably not even midway through the third quarter, and Nixie decided to say have a rest, which obviously for all the Isaac Rankin owners wasn't very good, but still outscored JHF in 1.5 quarters less. So what were your thoughts on Isaac Rankin's game, and can we still even trade into him even though he has this, I guess, lower score now?
Look, I guess you can wait for his price to drop a touch now, but he looks everything we had hoped in pre-season. That midfield role is real. He's kicking goals. He's looking really good as a midfielder. Like his ability at clearance to win the ball and make the move at the right time to get the ball and get it out. He's looking great. Yeah, I was pretty frustrated that he came off. First, I was scared he was injured. Then I heard he wasn't. I was relieved, and then I was annoyed because he was on track for another ton for sure.
Yeah, and I dare say he's almost got the goal of the year, probably the early nomination for what that is. That was a very, very nice goalie kick from the boundary. Couple of notable scores here: Zach Merritt and John Dawson both going massive with 138 and 136 respectively. Tim, I'll just quickly on John Dawson. Obviously, he's started like a house on fire, back-to-back 125 plus scores. Is it just as simple as he's going well, but if you've got him, you're happy, but if you don't have him, you're still targeting value? Or is there a world where you could see people maybe trading to him, if like maybe Tom Stewart, if you got DPP, could go up to? Are you going up to someone like that, or are you still looking for value?
Probably not. Look, no. I mean, the person I've got my eyes on, and we'll talk about this game later on, obviously, but it's a Tom Powell. I mean, just in terms of where he's scoring, he's certainly proved that the work that he did in the preseason is paying off. It looks like that midfield is kind of his, and being priced at, I mean, he'll probably be about, I haven't seen it looked yet, but I think he'll be under 900 grand. So, I mean, that's the kind of value that you want to target at this, kind of going into round 3 is who are the players that have kind of really proven that they've got that upside and move to them. I mean, Jordan Dawson, I mean, we're not going to expect to see him average 125 for the year, I don't think. I mean, probably based on last year. I know you'd like to think so, Bales, but yeah, I think it'd be.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Timmy boy. I don't know about that. Just give him the brown line now, I reckon.
Well, look, I think maybe, but I think it's probably unlikely, right? So I'm not sure that you're going there for value. Chances are we'll see his scoring slow down a little bit, but yeah, look, I've got him on my side. I'm really happy with him. It's one of the few that I am.
Yeah, well, he's played that well that he's going to have like a Bedford and a few tags and stuff like that.
Yeah,
definite watch. Nick Martin, though, will drop a bit of cash, 72, bit quiet in this game. He'll have better days ahead. Obviously, Essendon were quite poor, so he'll have better days and he'll drop a bit of cash for us, and we can look at maybe bringing him in at some point after his round 4 bye. Moving over to Port Adelaide and Richmond, so another big win this time for Port Adelaide, responding after their big loss last week. Kane Farrell, Jordox, 114, looked good, took plenty of kick-ins. Obviously, Port spread it around. This was Richmond. Logan Evans and other guys all did well. Is he an option for a Harry Perryman after sort of back-to-back solid scores, or are you still slightly concerned with all the Port defenders that they can sort of all share it around and we might not see these type of scores on a consistent basis from a guy like Kane Farrell?
Yeah, I know. I like Farrell. I mean, you do have to be careful looking at the scores from Port Adelaide this week. I mean, Pau Pepper scored 90. Don't get sucked into that one. But I think on a game like that where you see Burgoyne and Evans and Sin and just everyone joining the party, I do feel like Farrell is the consistent one. He's the kick-in guy that even if Port don't have the run of it, like even last week when they got smashed and he scored, 88, was it last week? So I actually think of the whole group, he's the safest one. So I wouldn't mind someone going for him. I think it would be fine.
Yeah. Here's a quick question about Otis. A lot of people might be looking at a Dan Rioli coming off bye and a Kane Farrell fairly similar price. Who would you pick?
Out of who, sorry?
Oh, he's on mute. Out of we're waiting. Out of Dan Rioli and Kane Farrell, that's a similarly priced. If people are looking at a Harry Perryman placement, who would you pick? Nope. Okay, we lost him. Tim, who would you pick between out of those two if you had to pick?
Far out, Bales. I've got no idea. I haven't looked into either of them. I haven't really been watching either of them. So what do you want me to say?
Unbelievable.
Well, who would you pick, Bales?
I think it's tricky. I'd even though Rioli had a lower scoring round one of 78, I feel like he's a guy that's probably got access to more of a role and points back there. So part of me's leaning towards him, but the next two games for Farrell is Essendon and then St Kilda. So a couple of decent matchups to come. But I guess Rioli's got some solid matchups to come as well. So it's tricky. I feel like I'm thinking Rioli just, but it's going to be an interesting one. I think both are definite options. I think I'll definitely be considering for Tom Stewart this week. So we'll see. And hopefully we got Jordox back without any delays or anything like that. So
we'll see.
Cool. Well, other notable scores here. So Sam Lawler, 62, a big last quarter going into the midfield there. I think that we can expect that to happen in last quarters of games. If they're down, he's going to go in there, get some CBAs and score okay. So he was good and make some more cash. Christian Morais is someone to keep an eye on, scored a 60, obviously was a starting sub, and it was against Richmond, but if he's in the 22, he could be a downgrade option for you. We mentioned Connor Rozee before, massive score of 145. And then Jason Horne-Francis, 62. Not great. A lot of free kicks given away. He gave away gave off 2 goals as well. And the bad thing is Jack Lukosius fractured kneecap as well. So he's out. That may mean Horne-Francis with some extra minutes up forward, unless they bring in a Finlayson and put him back in the forward line, or if they bring in, I don't know if an Ollie Lord or someone like that played, or they've got another option. But we'll have to see how that all plays out. Moving over to the Saturday night game with the Saints getting the job done over Geelong. And the big issue, obviously, from this game was Tom Stewart injured on 9. I'm blaming the surface for this one of Marvel Stadium. People have complained for ages that it's a hard surface, and you can clearly tell that was a bit more of an injury because he's landing on the knee that it got done. But there's always something with Tom Stewart. There's always something. You were saying in round 1, he got hit on the head by Jackson, and then now, unfortunately, he is out. But Tim, obviously, me and you are both owners. Do you have any sort of early thoughts on what your plan is to replace him? With you going sort of up to the top, or are you maybe trying to find value with someone else?
Well, I'm kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that there was some suggestion it was minor. We haven't heard what the damage is. I'm kind of I mean, I'm in that kind of boat, right, where I thought in round 3 they were going to be on a bye anyway. So I'm thinking that, potentially if they're out for 1 week or something like that, maybe I can hide behind that, just simply because I've just got so many other issues. So it's going to be really assessing this week and working out, whether to be jumping off people like Garcia and Hollins, that's just wasted money sitting in your bank, or whether we're looking at people like Bailey Smith and Tom Stewart. But yeah, it just sucks. Like Yeah. As
Aiden Shepherd said there, Stewart is looking like he'll be out for at least a month, and that was sort of from what I was hearing as well on the.
Oh, really?
What Jay Clark and that was saying last night. So he's a must trade in that scenario.
Okay, but I haven't seen any. Have you seen?
That was what Fox Footy and that was sort of. That's what Fox Footy and that was saying after the game, and today that they were saying it's looking like a PCL injury, and it could be on the smaller scale where it might be a 4-week injury, but it could also be a surgery sort of one where he's out for a couple of months. So I think he's a must trade for me.
Yeah.
So we might be able to speak about that on a Tuesday or later in the week about what we're looking at doing with him. But Stewart sounds like he'll need to go. Both Jack Sinclair and Nasai Wanganeen-Miller are Jordox, 114, 101 respectively, both scoring well. For people that have got a Stewart or a Perryman, who would you pick out of the two Saints guys? Because they've got Richmond this week.
I reckon Wanganeen-Miller. And I wouldn't have said that a few weeks ago. I was pretty... Sinclair felt safer, but no, I think Wanganeen-Miller now is really stepping up, and I think he'll go past Sinclair this year.
Yeah, I think the thing that scares me a little bit about Jack Sinclair is the fact that they've got, so Richmond's good, then they got Port, and then GWS. I would imagine a Bedford probably goes to a Sinclair because he can go in the midfield and halfback as well. So that's probably where I'm a bit nervous on that. Whereas an Asire, I'd imagine, escapes the tag between those two, but something to note. Final player I wanted to quickly chat about, Mitch Nevitt. Jordox, can we still trade into him at 80? Look good. The only flag, I guess, was the fact that his CBAs were right down in the last quarter. I think he was the number one attendee over the first 3 quarters, but then was pretty much bumped out when Geelong were trying to win the game. Is this a case of they got Brisbane this week, tough matchup, Geelong need to win after losing? Is it nerve-wracking trading into Nevitt when Chris Scott, we know what he's like, we know what Geelong's like, they just chuck the kids out and put the experienced guys in? Or do you think because he's still cheap, if you can bring him in still, he's going to make a ton of cash and you'd be happy to jump on?
Well, I don't know how cheap he is. He's gone up 100K now, so you've kind of missed that initial flurry of price increase.
544.
Pretty much priced at about 55 though, or something like that. So
yeah. Look, I don't know. I think Ted Closey came in and looked really good as well. So yeah, it's hard to know with Geelong, but I will say, considering the game, I mean, I know the scoreboard showed a thriller, but for the bulk of that game, it was all St Kilda. You look at the fantasy scoring, 8 tons to St Kilda and none to the Cats.
110 as well.
Yep. So for Nevitt to get his way up to 80, I thought was pretty impressive, but I probably wouldn't be going there now. I'd be looking for something a bit cheaper.
Yeah. And he was on 75.
Talk about Rowan Marshall too. Welcome back, big boy.
Yes,
Holy
no forward status, no cheap. He's going to be staying expensive. So I'm sure we'll be jumping on him at some point. But 142 looked back to the beast that we know and love Romar to be. He was fantastic. Obviously, Jack McRae, obviously another massive score there. Jack Steele got in on the action, responding with a 114. Ted Closey, someone to watch, scored a 91 and was impressive. Lawson Humphreys was also good with an 87 there against St Kilda, obviously, albeit, but with Stewart out for a little bit, could be someone we look at. And SDK, I'm nervous. Obviously, I don't own him, but if I did, I'd be nervous. I think with Stewart out, I could see SDK going back into defence and Stanley coming in for the next 2 weeks against McInerney and Gawn. So just a flag on that. But Sandercoing still played pretty well, I thought. Still scored a 72. So, and that was with a quiet last quarter. Moving over to the Sunday games. But before we do, obviously, we have a new sponsor along with Infinite Wealth this season, and that is our friends at Game Day Squad. So you guys know what Game Day Squad is. Another fantasy platform there and heaps of weekly prizes, cash up for grabs, and you don't have to pay money. You can start straight away. So if you haven't signed up yet and want to use the code BAILSDT at sign up, you get 3 free packs valued at $21. for free, and you don't have to pay any money for it. You use it, sign up, and you get the codes emailed to you. You open them and you can enter the comps and you can build your club from there. So head over to gamedaysquad.com.au and sign up there with the code. Moving over to the Sunday games, Brisbane and West Coast. Tim, your Eagles were pretty good. Obviously didn't get the job done in the end, but very, very good for three and a bit quarters. But Liam Baker was the one that main CBA, number one attendee. Jack Graham obviously being the main out for them. Do you just put it down to simply as he's just replacing Jack Graham, and when Graham's back, he can go back? Or Baker played well that we could see this role maybe stick?
Yeah, look, I mean, that's toss a coin, right? Whether we see it stick or not. But that's the thing that I think you'd be wanting to watch. I mean, it might even be, if someone's in a similar position like maybe we are and they want to be a little bit aggressive, I certainly recommend it at this time of the season. But Liam Baker, if he gets that midfield role, then, this kind of scoring 90 is probably about where he potentially could be. And he's priced at what's he, mid-60s or something along those lines. So that's plenty of good value. And he's someone that you could either maybe get up from a Hugo Garcia or slide down from a Riley Sanders. Or maybe not slide down.
What about Jamie Graham's? Jamie Graham.
Look,
Jack Graham's back next week. Does that impact?
I mean, look at how, from a West Coast Eagles fans' perspective, we were atrocious last week. Absolutely atrocious. And then to see, I guess, whether it was, a forced change, have them put Liam Baker in the midfield. But, let's see look how well they played against the reigning premiers, right? So, you might, I wouldn't be surprised if Minnie decides that he's going to stick with this kind of role for Baker. Let's see how we go. But look, like I said at the beginning, it's a toss of a coin, right? It might come off, it might. But, if you're looking to be aggressive and you want to slide off a Sanders, then that's probably a perfect way to do it.
And this sort of, it screams a little bit to me like, obviously, and people are going to say you just talk about him all the time because you love him. And yes, that's true. But also it's very similar. Jordan Dawson in 2023, I want to say, round 3, went into the midfield, played well, and they stayed with it. So even though it wasn't something they did in preseason, they did it, they got a spark from it, and they kept it. So there's a chance that, like a Liam Baker, different player to obviously Dawson, but it worked. It was good. Obviously, Yo and Jack Graham will come back into the side. But if that stays, Baker could be someone to be looking at. Yeah, priced at $783K. So could be someone that we do have a look at in over the next few weeks to see his role. Dane Zorko was very good. 126, very impressive once again. Very, very good run coming up. Tim, though, is it just he's just too expensive? Or do you think with such a good run that you could trade into him? He's got obviously a dream run for like the next 6 weeks. Stewart, Perryman failing. Could you pay up for him and have him at D1, or is it still a bit risky with him being so expensive?
Yeah, I think it's a bit risky with him being so expensive. I think you'd probably, we talked about him before. Wang has kind of turned out to be the pick of that D1s potentially. I mean, you could argue maybe Sheasel as well, right? But really, Sheasel's just kind of maintaining his price. So, I don't know that you want to be going up to a Dane Zorko unless you just enjoy the pain, which potentially I think is coming.
Yeah. Oh, he's got some good matchups. So if someone does jump onto him and he goes well, I wouldn't be shocked because of some of the matchups there. Lockie Neal, 117 was good. I had a feeling he was going to bounce back in a big way, and he did with a 117. Someone to watch is a guy that's getting a bit cheaper. He's mid-900s, and he's got Richmond, I think, in round 4. So it could be someone we target in a few weeks' time, maybe upgrading one of these guys that's not quite getting it done. Josh Dunkley, 111 as well, was also very good. And Levi Ashcroft got there in the end with a 74 as well. Very good scoring, and he went up a bunch of cash this week. Moving over to North Melbourne and Jordox, another one of our rookies that went well. I'm very glad I went on the double rookie train this week in Levi Ashcroft and Xavier Lindsay with an 80. People thinking last week the tackling was just maybe a once-off. He got 6 tackles again, got a couple of marks, got plenty of ball, and the way that Melbourne are playing. Is it for him and Levi Ashcroft? So that's why I'll bunch these two in. Is it too late to jump on these guys? They're both, I believe they're both over 400K now. So looking at their prices here. So 438 for Lindsay, 433 for Ashcroft. Both have still got negative break evens. Can you still jump on at that elevated price if you didn't jump on?
Yeah, I mean, the negative break even probably gives you the answer there. I know we spoke about Nevitt and I was a little hesitant. What was his break even? Just
8.
out of curiosity.
Still similar.
Yeah. So pretty similar. But yeah, the negative break even is very appealing. And yeah, I reckon one more week, if you don't get on, will be too late. But they're both looking like scoring and averaging, 70 odd at least. So pretty good. Yeah, I'd like to watch Melbourne. I just haven't been able to watch them play across the first 2 rounds. I want to watch Lindsay and have a good look at him because it's sounding like a real fantasy stud.
Yep, exactly. And Dylan Alexander, obviously one of our guests in the preseason, was saying that he was one of the top couple of rookies he thought this season. So he's definitely one to be keeping an eye on if you don't have him already. The other disappointing one, and unfortunately the other one that was highly recommended as well by Dylan Alexander, was Finnoy Sullivan, who, Tim, watching this game, as I mentioned it a bit with, I can't remember, with Perryman before, Finnoy Sullivan's got the half-back role, but he just doesn't want the ball. Like, there was plenty of chances today he could have called for a +6 and got it, but he just doesn't want the ball. Like, he does some nice things, good player for North Melbourne, but he just doesn't have that thirst of a McKercher or a Sheasel or someone like that that's played back there. I'm in a boat where I can upgrade a Hasty this week to a Never to bench a Finnoy Sullivan. Do you think it's a good idea for coaches to be looking to be benching a Finnoy Sullivan at this point, back-to-back weeks of not really scoring too well for us?
Yeah, I think, look, you're just going to be worried about that scoring at this point in time. You can't be having he's averaging 42, right? You can't really have a 40 on your field, and over these next couple of weeks, it's not going to count anyway, right? So, look, yeah, I actually really like the Nevitt pick. I kind of really like that pick. So if you can get up to Nevitt Bales, I think that's a good move.
Yeah, and Finnoy Sullivan's break-even's up to 31. So if he scores like he did this week, he's not making any more cash. So we just got to hope that he can pump out a big score for us. Clayton Oliver and Caleb Daniel both scoring 114. Obviously very, very popular. But Clayton Oliver, I thought this was the best I've seen him all preseason. He's looked good preseason, building. This was the best I've seen him, and I did certainly see a lot of the old Clayton Oliver today. I know Melbourne lost, but that he got 36 touches. The burst I saw multiple times was back. He got missed for an easy +6 from Ed Langdon that cost him a goal at a crucial time. So, yeah, Oliver, if you don't have him, he's still a very good target, I think. I know people were concerned last week with an 80-odd, but that was against GWS. He's got a very good run coming up for the next 6 weeks. So jump on board if you don't have him. And Caleb Daniels, well, if you don't have him, jump on as well. Jack Henderson, someone to consider as well. 68, another solid game from him. He could be someone that we look for as a downgrade target. And Max Gawn, 63. Tristan Sherry, I think Fantasy Free, I'll put the stat. Maybe we saw the passing of the baton for the main ruck there. Gawny was very, very quiet in this game. And apparently it sounded like, from what Simon Goodwin alluded to post-game, that there might be something else out off the field that he was dealing with this week. So maybe it's a little bit more down to that as well. So just if you've got him, I wouldn't be overreacting to anything. He's got easier matchups on the horizon as well. So hopefully Gawny's okay, and hopefully scoring it well for everyone that owns him. Moving to the final game round, Fremantle.
Before you do, I just want to pick up a couple of things you said. So Clayton Oliver, if you don't have him, I actually don't think jump on him. He's so commonly owned, and I actually don't trust him. I know he looked great today, but I just don't trust his scoring. The way Melbourne are playing, I don't, even a Petrarca, people would have jumped on him. He didn't score a ton today. So I don't know about grabbing Oliver now if you didn't start with him. The other thing I'd say too, Tom Powell. Could we have a quick powwow about him? He completely slowed down in the second half, and he just missed a ton. I noticed with him, he's not tackling all that, or taking a lot of marks, but he is getting.
He did it in round one. He did it in round one. He did it in round one. 7 marks, 8 tackles.
Yeah,
so he got it done then.
Yeah, so that's all that was missing today. So I'm very, very heavily interested in him. It's like Taranto down to him, save some cash, and have someone I can trust. But what do you boys think quickly about Powell?
I like him. I think he's a good option. As a non-owner, I was glad he didn't ton, because that was looking like another 120 again. If I was in a better position and didn't have Stewart, I'd maybe trade to Perryman last week, and I could go from a Will Day to Tom Powell this week. I think that's a very nice trade to make, with Day getting the Bedford tag. His break-even's obviously shot back up. Power's looking very, very good. And as Tim said, under 900K, you can't really ask for too much more for a guy priced under 900K. So I think he's a great option. And I'd be seriously considering it if I wasn't in a pile in a hole with a lot of other issues to deal with. So, but I'd probably say Clayton Oliver. I feel like if you don't have him, I think he's a must. I just think the run over the next few weeks: Gold Coast, Geelong, Essendon, Fremantle, Richmond, West Coast. I think that there could be some big scores coming up from Oliver. But I do get your point though with the highly owned. Maybe go for a Tom Powell instead. So. Very, very interesting with those two there. Final game of the round, Fremantle and Sydney. So Nod got it done once again, Tim, for us. Close game, this one, Freo and Sydney. But Nod 79 points. Solid score once again. If you don't have him as well, is he still someone you'd be happy to jump on?
I would say so. I didn't actually get the kids this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of the day games. Did he get CBAs again?
He got a couple. So his CBA mix, so it went down a bit this week. Obviously, Erasmus was in the team. So he only had... Actually, hang on. Did he? No, he had a CBA, didn't he? It says he had 0 CBAs, but I saw him attend the very first CBA of the last quarter. So maybe it was only the one. But yeah, he didn't have many.
Yeah,
I think he was on the wing. Back on the wing.
Look,
yeah.
I mean, look, the thing that you just got to watch, obviously, with wingers, they can have up and down games, right? But at his price, where his scoring's at, he also looks like a good pick in that mid-price pick. I'm not sure that you'd be rushing to get on him, but well done to those who picked him.
Yep, he's also got a pretty nice run as well. So West Coast, Bulldogs, Richmond, and Melbourne in the next 4. And he's got the Adelaide, Optus, St Kilda, and Collingwood. So a very nice run coming up for Nod. I think he's a good option if you don't have him. But yeah, the one CBA there was not great as well. A few other players here. So Caleb Sarong and Andrew Brayshaw, Jordox. Obviously, Sarong got the tag from James Jordan with an 83. But Andrew Brayshaw, it's very disappointing when a lot of people are tossing up between a Brayshaw and a Dawson. And there's a big gap between the two now. Is it just a case of you're not trading these premiums and you're holding and sticking fat, or have you seen a bit more of a concern from Brayshaw that maybe it's a bit of more of a discussion?
No, I wouldn't have thought. I mean, if you started with them, you just you got to just remember this happens from time to time with Brayshaw and Sarong. I'd be more worried about, but I wasn't as bullish on him as a starting pick as I would have been Brayshaw, just because it does seem that he gets the tag Sarong. But Brayshaw, yeah, it was just a funny game tonight. We got, 2 tons for the whole game, low scoring. Yeah, I would be panicking.
Yeah, exactly. It's bad scores, but Freo's run, as I mentioned with O'Driscoll, opens up. So I'll be sticking fat. And hopefully Brayshaw, who's the more popular guy, can get some good scores on the board. Chad Warner, 129, was very, very good. And no surprise, he's back in Perth and had a very, very good game after a quiet one last week. I don't know exactly what he's looking at the split in terms of what he did. So he had some CBAs. He had 15. So that was the third highest for Sydney behind Jordan and Heaney. But still spent some time forward. We'll see if he gets forward status in round 6. Could be a guy we're really considering at that point. Matt Roberts, 95, had a big last quarter to get there. He was on 64 there, but a 31-point last quarter was very, very nice to get him over the 90 and continue making cash. And on bye this week, I would be holding him through that. And Riley Bice, 60 points. Look good. Obviously not as busy as what he was in the quarter and a bit that he played against Brisbane, but kicked a really nice goal. I could see him being in the team after their bye. So he would be someone that I'd be putting in your black book as a downgrade target in round 4 because as he's named, I think that he'll play and score decent. So, yeah, I liked him there. And that is all for the games and stuff. So I will answer a few questions here just before we hit the hour mark, and then we will wrap up everything. So Barnyard's got this first one, Tim. So he's saying, Will Day, Jace Norton-Francis, Hugo Garcia, Riley Sanders. So Riley Sanders was one we didn't actually mention as well. Which 2 would you trade? My rookies are average and contemplating fixing them up to future cash flow. So if you were to rank in order of trade out preference, Day, Horn, Francis.
Read them out again. Sorry, what was that?
Day, Horn, Francis.
Yeah, I'd probably hold both of those out of those 4.
Yep. Hugo Garcia.
He's a must trade, I think, as the sub. He's on the outer. You got to get rid of him.
Yeah, and then Riley Sanders.
He's probably my third, 3. So if you're ranking them,
Garcia, Day, Sanders, Horn-Francis.
yeah. I'd probably have Horn-Francis second. I'd have Day.
Second?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I really enjoyed that game of footy. Like, actually, that was the other thing. I thought that Collingwood Western Bulldogs game was a cracking game of footy. One of the best games of footy I've ever seen in a long time. And I felt a little bit. Well, it wasn't as good, but I really like Will Day's game of footy. So maybe I'm being a bit blinded by his actual game, but I think he's got this tough run, and I think it's going to open it up. And I think he potentially could end up, averaging maybe over that 100 mark towards the, once we get to the kind of season's end. Horn-Francis, he's turned out to be a bit of a tag target. I don't know if I'm convinced about him as being a top 6 forward as I once was.
Yeah. I wasn't bloody keen, but I saw the run, I saw the ownership, and I jumped on. I should have bloody started with an Isaac Rankin, unfortunately. I should have gone Rankin better.
It's sub. So, I think you'd feel a bit more confident about a Rankin at the moment. But that
Rankin outscored him playing a quarter and a half less and getting subbed out. It's just, and he's probably not going to get tagged either, which I thought that was going to be the case. Probably Dawson because of how well he's playing. So, very, very interesting. DJ said, last week to get Nevitt and O'Driscoll, want both but can only get one Jordox. You've had to pick between Nevitt and O'Driscoll if you can only get one. Who are you picking?
I'd go the lowest break even out of the two.
Which is?
I think they'll stick. I reckon they'll stick with Nevitt.
So Nevitt's break even's 8. O'Driscoll's is 14. But obviously, Nevitt's a slight.
I think the midfield role is a better scoring role than that wing role. You got to be a little bit more uncertain about obviously Nevitt in terms of being in that Geelong side. But it's there until it changes. So and even with things getting shaken up like they did this weekend with Tommy Stewart going down, like he's still stuck in that role. So I would be going Nevitt over O'Driscoll, and also be aware that I'm ranked at 34,000.
No, I'd agree. I'd go with that too.
I love it. We've got a super chat here from Chris. Thanks very much, Chris, for the super chat there. Very, very nice there. Will Day to Tom Powell and Sanders down to Ted Closey having 361K in the bank to upgrade Perryman, who I'm going to hold through the bye because it's best 18 Jordox. You're ticking those two trades off?
I love Will Day to Powell. And then Sanders down to Closey. I don't know about that one. I mean, I don't. It's obviously a nice position to be in financially for next week. I just don't know.
Max Hall's another one that's not that much difference. Max Hall's another player I think you can trade in instead of Closey. That's another mid forward that's like low break even, not priced much different to Closey. So I think you could potentially go there if you don't think he's going to stick around. But it'd be pretty rough. I mean, after having a 90 in the game that they had this week,
as the sub too, as a late in and then the sub, pretty impressive. Talk about taking your opportunity. I don't mind it. You're going from having Sanders on field, I'm guessing, to a kid on field, but with best 18, you can ride that. So
he's got heaps of cash there as well, so he could pivot later in the week as more intel comes to hand.
Yeah, exactly. You might be able to find that little bit of cash, but Will Day to Tom Powell, I'm also a big fan of. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Campbell Baldwin.
I have a sneaking suspicion at the moment he could be one of the trades of the season, Tom Powell, or one of the picks of the season. He potentially could be a 110 midfielder. I'm coming in priced at 80. To be potentially top 8, have 30 points worth of upside. That's a great pick, especially to have him through these best 18 round bye rounds.
Campbell Baldwin's got a super chat as well, but no question, just send to super chat. So thanks, mate. So very, very, very much appreciated there. So what do we got here? Sean says here, not a question, currently ranked 44. So congrats, Sean, mate. bit of a flex in the chat there,
Oh.
but very, very nicely done. And DJ says he's ranked
Awesome.
45th. So there we go.
Well done, boys. That's awesome.
No, but then DJ, hold on. Then he clarifies 45,000.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay.
Nice.
I was going to say, obviously, friend of the show, Shuckers, he's up to 13th. So he went up in ranks. So up 5 spots. Very nicely done. Shout out to you, Shuckers, there. Josh has got this one, Tim. First trade is Tom Stewart. What's the best second trade? Rookie to Lindsay or Day/Hollands to Jackson? Luke, I wouldn't be trading Luke Jackson in, or he's got Finn Callahan. So would you go a Day or Hollands to a Callahan, or go a rookie to Lindsay?
I'd be getting that rookie to Lindsay. He looks like a bit of a stud, and once again, he's currently priced. Look, I can't remember the magic number. I'm not logged in on Moreira's Magic at the moment, but I do remember it's about a point, whatever it is, right? So if they're 440, it's about priced at 44, roughly at that, right? So, I think he's probably got at least a good 20 or 30 points upside in him from here. So, once again, I think that's a priority trade.
Yeah. Billy Hawks, what are we doing about Bailey Smith? So from what it sounds like, Billy, it sounds like Bailey Smith is every chance to play this week. Apparently, also there was a group chat I'm in. One of the guys actually messaged Bailey Smith and asked him, like over 100K people are wondering if you're going to be playing, how long this injury is. And he said apparently he was in the third quarter last week. And it was a bit more soreness, and he's looking like it's only going to be the 1 week. So he should be back from what we hear. I think worst case, though, he's missing this week and be back. So I'd be holding if you guys held this week. Next question. Yeah.
Just quickly, just a question before about Luke Jackson. You said you wouldn't be going there. Do you want to expand on that? Why?
Because last year he was solo ruck. He had some games where he's up and down, and Sean Darcy. I think it said Darcy was like three to 5 weeks away, so he's within a month. It's an expiry date trade. I'm not trading into guys at that point that have got an expiry date. I want guys like Tom Power, Mitch Nevitt, O'Driscoll, the rookies, guys that I can hold for more than a month, I reckon.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I wouldn't rule him out in the forward line. He looked really good today, and I've just done a quick look at games where he's had over 70% CBAs since the start of last year, 9 times for an average of 96. So I know when Darcy's back, that'll change, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe for the 3rd year in a row, Jackson will fool me again.
Yeah. IT's got this one, Jordox. Are Farrell and Rioli types an option for Harry Perryman? So are you happy to be going for one of these guys, or you may want to go up to the top if you can go up there?
Look, I reckon we can't be too picky considering how lowly priced Perryman is. Who was it? Dan Rioli? Did he say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen it yet. He's only played the 1 game, and that was a very moderate 78. Who was the other guy? He said
Kane Farrell.
Yeah, Farrell. Yeah, I don't mind Farrell. I don't mind it.
Do you go Farrell over Dan Rioli if you picked?
I actually would. Yeah, I would at this stage, just from what I've seen. But yeah, I don't know. I reckon if you're doing it, try and get to the top. But I don't know. The backline's interesting this year. It's not clear cut. But getting your hands on a Whitfield or a Sheasel.
What about a Jake Bowie? In
Bowie?
DC's on him already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's cheap.
He's got a good run coming up as well.
Cheap.
And
Did we end up getting an ETA on Stephen May? Did we get
apparently he's
likely
for this week, but he's like he might be back the week after.
Yeah.
So that might be the other thing.
The other thing we should probably mention is I'm not sure that people should be trading into an SDK now as well.
I would not be trading in SDK now. No, I could do that this week for Perryman or Stewart, but no. We heard in the week, Chris Scott said that Reece Stanley will play footy at some point, just a matter of when. And the fact that Stewart's out they got Big O this week, and then they're going to Gorn. I'm not on it. That's for sure. So I'm not going anywhere near that. Someone asked as well there about trading into Jack Paramenta said no Parmenta. I'm sorry, apologies Jack for that one. Corey Warner an option to trade for Perryman. I think he is -7 break even, 385k. Got to buy this week. Someone we could look at after. We'll go to the last two here, which are two super chats here as well. One from Campbell Baldwin here. Thanks, mate, for this one as well. So he says, do I trade Day to Powell, then Camporelli to Lindsay, or just find a way to get rid of Garcia? So, Tim, what would you be doing now? I think Day to Powell, we're all ticking. We think it's a great trade, but would you be doing Camporelli to Lindsay or finding a way to get rid of Garcia?
No, I like those two trades. I'd get a Day to Powell and Camporelli to Lindsay, and then just hold Garcia. Garcia's actually, he might be shit again. Well, most likely he will be shit again, but I think his break even, it's only about 40 or something along those lines. 49.
Yeah, and Liam Stocker and Hunter both got injured, so there's a world where he goes back into the 22.
Yeah, so yeah, I would do those first two trades.
Yeah. Oh, Sean was also saying that wasn't me. I was saying 45k. Maybe he is saying 45k as well. But yeah, final super chat from Tim Ashworth. So thanks, mate. He's saying, do I trade Day to a forward and get Kako or Hall off field? And then go trade Perryman or Taylor. So I think we would trade Perryman over Taylor, I think, with the high break even. Yeah, Jordox, are you happy to trade Will Day to a forward to get Kako or Max Hall off field?
Yeah, yep, that works. Makes sense.
Is ranking probably the guy you'd be looking at?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's a few options, but yeah, he's probably the number one at the minute. In terms of guys that's going to be, we're pretty sure are looking like top 6.
Yeah, exactly. Someone just said that before we wrap up as well, they just said we didn't chat about Will Ashcroft. So he got a 90, looked better this week, had a big last quarter there. I think he's the least of your concerns. I think there's too many other concerns than a Will Ashcroft at this moment. They've got a great
He is looking like a dud pick, though. He's definitely looking like a dud pick, right? And for him to only get to where he got to today against the West Coast Eagles, I would be worried about him. He has got a pretty decent run for the next couple, but yeah, he is certainly on the chopping block for many coaches, I think.
Yeah. Cool. That'll wrap us up. But before we do, as we always do, we'll go through our rage trades or trades we're looking at doing. So, Jordox, I'll go to you first this one. Obviously, game is sort of open while we're mid-podcast and everything like that, so you probably haven't had a look, but you've probably been thinking. What are you thinking about doing with your trades?
I have been thinking, but I forgot about the cash I've got. So my two trades last week were just fixer-uppers, but they left me with 460k. So I really want to get one of Walsh or Taranto out of my side, even though they're not priorities, but I'm just losing points from them. So I don't mind Taranto maybe to a Dunkley or down to a Powell, and then I can use my 500k to just go bang. You know, I've got Ben Hobbs sitting there. He could go up to any forward I want. Yeah, it's probably what I'm looking at, if I'm honest. Yeah. I reckon Hobbs and Taranto out.
Still got plenty of the week, obviously, to decide. But yeah, that is what Jordox is looking at doing at the moment. Tim, what are you looking at doing with your current trades?
Yeah, I think I'll be probably leaving a Harry Perryman and a Tom Stewart on the bench for this week, just because I can pretty much do the trades that I want to do, I think. Although I'll have to look at it because maybe I can bring in a Nevitt or something. Nah, I need a forward. So it'll be Hugo Garcia and Ollie Hollins out, and I'll be very happy to see the back of those two spuds. And someone like a Max Hall, maybe another rookie, depending on how the week pans out, but it's got to be a forward, and then a Tom Powell. I really want to get on Tom Powell. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
Yep, cool. No, I like it. My two trades, obviously Stewart and Perryman are issues. I also didn't trade Hasty because I went Garcia out. So the sort of first plan is I could either go Stewart and Perryman out and go bring in Kane Farrell and an Asai Wanganeen Miller and go get two solid defenders, or maybe I'll just hold Perryman for a week, trade in next week and go Tom Stewart across to a Kane Farrell or Dan Rioli and then go a Hasty up to Nevitt. That's what I'm looking at doing. But I also really like Tom Powell. So like could even go Stuart down to a maybe a prior or something just to get cash, and then go Hasty up to Powell and do that instead. So there's a couple options this week for me. But with 370k in the bank, it's given me a little bit of extra flexibility. So I'll look at that as well. And Cam Baldwin also just put another super chat here. Thanks again, mate. You just said, cheers, guys, going to go with that. So glad that we answered your question there, Campbell. So that'll wrap us up for the show tonight. Apologies if you didn't get your questions answered. There's a couple of places that you guys can head to if you would like your questions answered, or team reviews or anything like that. So you can either become a Patreon at patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics and get team reviews, any questions answered. There's weekly Q&As. I'll be recording one tomorrow night, so you can get your questions in through there, and I'll answer all the questions. Obviously, not as long as the Ball Boys, hour and 55 minutes, but I still do answer all the questions nonetheless. Shout out to those guys for doing their 2-hour podcast for a Q&As. That's dedication, that's for sure. Or you can head over to askmeonq, spelled qu.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics if you'd like to get your questions answered there as well. We'll also be doing our Q&A Tuesday night at the usual time of 7:30 Eastern and 4:30 p.m. per time. So make sure you guys tune in on Tuesday night for that. Jordox, mate, where can the people find you and find us keepers? What have we got coming up this week?
Yes, I'm on X at Jordox 2020. And yes, Finders Keepers will be out Tuesday morning with a round 2 review. And that is the new podcast focusing on keeper leagues and dynasty leagues. So make sure you check it out. And if you do check it out, make sure you check out the page on X. Just try and get as many followers onto that page as I can. So that's at FindKeepAFL.
Yeah, beautiful. And also make sure you go and follow at AFL Subs as well. Cracking work you and Eloise are doing their Jordox. And
yes,
yeah, that's very, very nice.
That account has exploded since round 1. It's awesome. It's up to, I think, nearly 2.5K getting those notifications. So yeah, it's great to give that service to the community.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, mate. Shout out to you and Eloise for doing that. Guesty, mate, where can the people find you, and where can they find the Master Your Money program?
So yeah, all the socials, Tim Guest AU and infinitewealth.com.au/AFL Fantasy.
Yeah, cool. And you can find me at BAILSDT, and you can find us at AFL Fantasy Fanatics on AFL Fantasy Fans on Twitter. Sorry, nearly got that one mixed up. But who knows? Maybe you want to steer clear of our advice for a week or two and see us actually do quite well, because we're all in the 20Ks. Hopefully we can have a better round 3. Still best 18. Could you imagine if that wasn't best 18? Oh my God, all 3 of us would have been completely in the mud. But we probably still are, but not as much. So, but cool. Hopefully a better round 3.
We're in it together. We're in it together, fellas, and everyone listening. If you're sucking so far, so are we. Hang in there.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Beautiful. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. As always, if you're listening back to the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. That'd be very much appreciated. If you're tuning in on YouTube, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. And we'll catch you guys on Tuesday night for our Q&A. So thanks, everyone. Catch you then. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.